In this episode, there will be a surprise. Something that you have not seen, including the world out there. Enjoy. It is going to be awesome. I lost the use of my vocal cords and the ability to speak after an operation. I am very excited to share this life-saving technique, which I call my Neels swallowing and laryngopharynx closing technique, with you. I will not be surprised to find out that I am probably the only person in the world that can exercise this technique voluntary and with excellence. After I received this new voice, this voice that you are witnessing right now, I realized that all the techniques that I practiced for many years and well trained and master all form part of my new sound production process. At a time when I was at the lowest and deepest hole, trying to survive from day to day, I was faced with a challenge to survive against the life expectancy that was placed over me by medical evidence and knowledge. I have learned from a very young age never to surrender and never to give up. There were a few important gifts of life that I wanted to have the privilege to experience in my life, not yet fulfilled. That was the survival driving force that kept me going. I wasn't gonna give up, at least not without my best fight. I know today that the Lord Jesus Christ never left my side. He never removed me from the situation, but He took me through it. I give Him all the glory. In this episode, I am sharing my swallowing and laryngopharynx closing technique. In my opinion, this is an extraordinary technique and medical breakthrough. This technique became a vital key element to better my quality of life and in my alternative speech production process. This technique gave me the ability to be in control of the outcome of every acid reflux. I was suffering severely from the effect of acid regurgitation and acid reflux. This technique gave me the ability to stop the acid reflux and allow me to control the easing out the pressure without any adverse effect. This allowed me to be healed from various adverse conditions. I had to learn various survival techniques. I lost my ability to speak after a total esophagectomy operation or gastric pull-up on 23rd of May 2012. I was told that I will never be able to speak again. Also, after the operation, my body lost its ability to protect itself against the result of acid regurgitation and acid reflux. The process of acid regurgitation and acid reflux became beyond comprehension after the esophagectomy operation. All the survival techniques that I learned over many years was God's ultimate plan to provide me with a good quality of life and a new voice. Little did I know 9 years ago, when I developed this technique and later mastered it, it would become a vital procedure in my sound production process. This is my swallowing and laryngopharynx closing technique I developed under my own personal conditions after suffering severely from acid regurgitation and acid reflux. I developed my technique based on my personal experience and knowledge. This technique, I was told, was impossible to carry out and could not be done. This was according to every doctor and professor. I also learned years later that medically it was not possible. Or was it? That was the question. The swallow and laryngopharynx closing technique is very effective to eliminate or even prevent acid reflux, heartburn, burning throat, and food or liquids that pushed back up the stomach by closing the laryngopharynx. I strongly recommend that you do not try this technique. This technique is very complicated, and I don't want you to hurt yourself and receive any bodily harm. This is a very complex and intensive exercise that requires intense concentration. During the duration of developing this technique, I was in bed fighting to recover from the operation and the effects of chemotherapy 24 hours a day for 2 weeks and radiation for a duration of 30 days. I was very sick and very weak. The joining of my sausage type stomach 5 millimeters below the height of the bottom of my larynx was inflamed and very painful. The stainless steel staples that were used in the joining of the two organs were hurting me. Every moment came with severe, excruciating pain. Under normal conditions, the wounds required still and minimum movement to be able to heal. This treatment would have cost me my life. My will to survive and to improve my quality of life supersedes any available known treatments. I was, at that time and years later, with the highest stomach in Africa. I have no further knowledge if it is still the case. This was the procedure with the highest complexity of its kind, delivered by the professor, cardiothoracic surgeon. There were many unknowns, and I learned to handle all by myself and to survive from this condition. The only help available was that of a dietitian, and I agree the importance to follow a good diet. There are no substitution for a good diet. I had no help or any available treatment to assist me with my condition. I had to figure treatment out myself. I asked the Lord Jesus to help me, and He did. This technique is supernatural, and I could not have done this all on my own unless God with me. I gave Him all the praises. This is a video footage that was taken from a team of medical professional experts to capture my technique on camera to witness the closing of my laryngopharynx. Their identity has been distorted. Unfortunately, the camera was not able to record the step-by-step process because the camera could only be at one place at a time. You are now about to witness on camera the closed or flattened laryngopharynx. This is a very short extraction of a very long video recorded by my own two video photographers. This is a basic swallowing and laryngopharynx closing technique, and not the more advanced closing or super advanced techniques still stored in my arsenal of techniques. The camera could only film the final result because of the many movement inside my oropharynx. The role of my larynx flattening my laryngopharynx was not visible from the inside because the lens of the camera were unfortunately covered while filming. At this stage, only a few people has witnessed this amazing medical breakthrough. Let me not keep you further in suspense. Please tighten your seatbelts. You who are sensitive to watch live internal body parts functioning. Like I said, it is a very short video and please endure it. Please watch this video.
He wants to show us what he does when he has his technique.
Yeah.
Okay, but will we be able to see
I don't know.
that low?
We can have a look and see. Can you
So
see?
the uvula is resting on the back of the
Yeah, and
tongue.
it's tight there, and as you see, he's flattened it, so he's flattened it like that. And what he's doing is pushing the epiglottis up to the back of his uvula and closing that like that.
Okay, and the uvula is squashing down against
Yes.
the epiglottis, forming a seal.
Yeah.
You're sealing off your uvula onto your tongue, onto your epiglottis, so it's completely sealed off. Yeah.
Let me give you some feedback of the video that you've just watched. Let me once highlight on what you have just witnessed. This clearly showed the flattened laryngopharynx. This also proved the role of the other organs in this process. Firstly, my tongue was pushed back against my uvula, forming a seal. Secondly, the tongue and uvula were pushed back further into my oropharynx and pushed up onto my epiglottis. What was also impossible to see was the larynx that moved up onto the laryngopharynx. and the epiglottis that were pushed up against the uvula, forming a seal. Every organ stayed in that position, except allowing my larynx to lower down to allow the epiglottis to open, the glottis to allow airflow through my larynx. The position of my larynx are not at the rest position. It stopped halfway down and would stay there for the duration of the technique. I allowed my uvula to open, the entrance to my nasal pharynx, to allow airflow through my nose. This position I keep for as long as I want, or as long as my concentration lasts. In the episodes to come, I will explain the important role that each organ is responsible for, and the importance of having 2 seals. This illustrates my ability to voluntarily develop a proper seal to prevent any acid regurgitation and acid reflux entering my oropharynx. Are this amazing or not? This technique has never been done before, or at least never been captured on camera before. There is also no information on such a technique. There is no evidence that this was even possible. This is one of my very basic techniques. My more advanced techniques has not been recorded before. To be able to capture each and every part of the process will require highly sophisticated technology. Not only the feast test that was used in this video that you have witnessed, but also to capture the external movement of the process. This is going to be an extensive exercise, including intensive analyzing of the recorded information. It may even require CT scan technology. This radioactive test I am not keen to have done. I've been subjected to too much nuclear radiation. During the period, I suffered 3 cancers. All this is going to be very costly, and I cannot afford these highly sophisticated tests, at least not yet. I have no approved medical background or any medical qualifications. My techniques are based on how I think, feel, and experience when carrying out this technique. When I developed this swallowing and laryngopharynx closing technique, I had to do a lot of research inside my own body. In the beginning, I preferred the air bumper to assist me while I was training myself to concentrate for longer periods of time. Doing this technique without the accumulation of air in the pharynx is a lot more pleasant and easier to endure. I thank you for taking the time to watch this part of my testimony. I trust that you are a little more enlightened, and that you will also follow the next part of my testimony that is coming soon. I want to leave you with the next promise. The Bible tells us in 1 John 3 and verse 22, we will receive from him whatever we ask, because we obey him and do the things that please him. In another translation, it tells us, and whatever we ask, we receive from him, because we keep his commandments and do those things that are pleasing in his sight. When we obey God and do what pleases him, we will be surprised of the miraculous that will surround us. Therefore, may God bless you. Till we meet again, and goodbye.